Strong man is not pleased. Sasha, you just made a big mistake, boy. That's right. I'm coming to your house, mother effer. I'm knocking on your door. It's going to be 2 a.m. You're like, who's knocking at my door? And it's going to be me. Because you can do lots of things. You can insult my family. You can insult my friends. You can call me fat. You can call me a loser. But if you dare to insult VT it's game on, baby. Just kidding. Welcome back to Strongman Personal Finance. My name is Christopher Belli. I'm a certified CPA accountant. I'm a fake boglehead investor. I'm author of the book Stop Being a Broke Loser. It's on Amazon. And Sasha Yanshin just released a video about how he only has 100% US stocks. And I must defend the honor of the Global Index Fund because I truly believe diversification includes the entire world. Now, let's go look at his video real quick. I'm not going to play any clips, to be honest, because it's freaking late and I'm about to go watch a movie. But I'll give you a summary of his video. So let's go ahead and watch it. And if I mess up the video, you can comment, okay? So here's Sasha. Stop investing in the World Index. I mean, honestly, who does invest in the World Index? Really think about it. Who really invests in the World Index? Everybody seems to hate on VT. But it's already got 11,000 views, which I appreciate because he's actually, even though he thinks he's dissing it, he's actually promoting it. But in this video, he mentions a couple points that people bring up about the World Index. Okay, he talks about Japan. Now, I've mentioned Japan before. There was a stock market bubble in Japan in the late 80s, and that bubble collapsed. And if you had been investing in only Japan, because Japanese stocks just go up, bro, you would have been absolutely annihilated. And he makes a comparison that, what he says is you can't necessarily compare what happened in Japan to what's happening in the United States right now. And I give him that. He could be 100% right. We could not be in a massive bubble, and we could potentially not see a massive collapse in the U.S. stock market, the likes of which happened to Japan. Could happen, couldn't happen. I have no freaking idea. Then his main argument is that a lot of U.S. companies have global reach. He's saying his argument is the world has become more globalized, and U.S. companies, which are already dominant, stand to benefit from that because as the rest of the world develops, these more developed companies, Google, Apple, Microsoft, will have more markets and will continue to grow their revenue, earnings, yada, 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 yada. And I also give him that. That's 100% true. But let's clarify some misunderstandings about VT. So first of all, I think Sasha knows this, but you other clowns, I have to explain this 100,000 times. VT is not an international index fund. If you want to have international diversification and you have VT as a small part of your portfolio, that's a horrible way to add international. VT is the world. That includes the United States. As a matter of fact, VT, 63.6%, 2/3 roughly of VT is United States stocks. So if you are investing in VT, you're getting the Vanguard total world or total stock market index in the United States. But in addition to that, the remaining 36% is international stocks. Okay, please understand that. Stop buying VT because you want international diversification and marrying it. Well, you do whatever you want, but marrying it with VTI, to me, that doesn't make any sense. Okay, so here's the thing about the Boglehead philosophy. Okay. And I know people are like, oh, well, Jack Bogle, he didn't like, international stocks because of, currency risk and blah, 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 blah. Okay. That's great. But when you think about it, the logical conclusion of the philosophy automatically takes you and turns you into a total world investor. And if you're not buying the total world, I would argue you're almost a fake Boglehead. Okay, think about it. The whole point of the philosophy is you own a total market index because the philosophy states nobody really knows the future. Do we really know what's going to happen in the next 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years? No, we have no clue. If you're an index fund investor, you subscribe to the efficient market hypothesis that basically states that stocks roughly, trade at or are currently trading and reflect all known information. Okay. Sasha is an individual stock picker. He is not a boglehead. He is not an index fund investor. He buys individual stocks, and he mostly buys stocks in the United States because he sees more opportunity there. And he may be 100% correct. But if you think about the complexity of the world and the impossibility of predicting the future, if you accept that and acknowledge that, and you want something that you can own, that you will grow your wealth as the world becomes wealthier. You don't have to figure out which country's going to win, which country's going to lose. You buy everything and you grow your wealth as the world becomes wealthier. Now, I've said this 1,000 times. If I'm wrong, if international is just going to be absolute freaking trash going into the future, and U.S. stocks continue to become a larger and larger and larger share of the total market cap of the global stock markets, you actually get more and more exposure to U.S. stocks as U.S. stocks become more dominant and more dominant and more dominant. But like I said, I don't know what's going to happen in the future. And everybody has no idea what's going to happen in the future. Think about all the crises and things that have happened around the world that were unpredictable. The war in Ukraine. Who predicted that? Did anybody really think Russia was going to invade Ukraine? Did you really think or guess that we were going to have a once in 100-year pandemic? Did you really think the stocks around the world would freaking rocket up during the pandemic when everything was shut down? There is so much that's unpredictable. You have no idea what can possibly happen. And you mitigate the risk of you getting annihilated by an unforeseen event. Now, here's a crazy event that is ridiculous. It's not going to happen. Okay, well, it could. It's not going to happen. But I use this as an example. Let's say Yellowstone. We have this huge freaking dormant volcano in the United States. What if Yellowstone explodes and wipes out half the United States in 2035? Sounds absolutely ridiculous, right? Is it possible? Yeah. Can you predict it? No. How do you mitigate that risk? You own the globe. Do you see what I'm saying? There is going to be things that happen in the future that you can never possibly guess. And here's another thing. If you're not buying international stocks, you could potentially be missing the next Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, whatever. Because as these other companies become wealthier, or other countries become wealthier, I'm trying not to sneeze here, their population becomes more educated, there's more investment in technology, and there could potentially be a company that you are missing out on because you just said, oh, I'm just going to buy the US index. You don't know. And I'm sure there's going to be companies that we can't even possibly imagine that may come from countries that are outside the United States. And don't be assured that Amazon, Microsoft, Apple, and all these other companies are going to be dominant forever into the future and basically take over the entire world. It's possible, but we've seen in the past that the top stocks and indices, they change all the freaking time because we can't even imagine what could possibly happen in the future and what could affect the companies that are benefited from those future events. We have no idea. At least I think so. Okay. Now, another thing we can look at, I show this 1,000 times. Okay. And this really shows to me the potential for international to outperform. Could be entirely wrong. It's past performance, it's history, but this could repeat itself in the future. But here's the real thing. Okay. Now, looking at this, just to explain it real quick. These are the years on the bottom. If there's stuff pointing down, those are time periods where international outperformed. And if there's stuff going up, those are time periods that U.S. stocks outperformed. And you see they go in cycles, right? Maybe the cycle's broken forever. Okay. Hold on a second. I'm tired. I completely forgot my freaking point. But like I said, you can't predict the freaking future, okay? U.S. outperforms, international outperforms, yada, yada, yada. That's what you got to keep in mind. Hopefully I remember my freaking point that I was making. I'm exhausted. Now, we can also look at PwC and they have a thing called the world in 2050. Okay, and we see 130% cumulative global GDP growth is projected going into the future. What countries will benefit from that? Well, some people say China's doomed. I don't think so. China and India. And the United States, as a percentage of the world's GDP, will shrink, and other countries will grow larger and larger and larger as time goes on. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind. If you don't like VT, you don't have to buy VT. Okay, that's fine. I don't get swept up into these cycles. And I actually remember my point now. Here's what most people do. Okay, most people chase performance. There are good investors out there that don't chase performance. But here's the problem of not owning VT if you're an index fund investor. Let's say at the beginning of 1991, we see that US stocks start to outperform for basically a decade and some change, right? US stocks crushed international stocks. Well, I suspect the vast majority of investors probably started to shift their investments into US stocks and selling international because they couldn't stand to have their international holdings underperform during this decade. And it sucks, like, oh, everybody else is making so much money and I'm not. Yeah, I get it. But by shifting back and forth, what people are doing is they're most likely going to buy the top and of the cycle of the stock market that's going to underperform going into the future. Because if you went ahead and started buying US stocks, bro, right here, and then you see down here, international had its time in the sun for a good decade almost. Okay. And of course, what people probably did is like, oh, international's outperforming now. So they probably start trimming their US stocks and buying international after it's already gone up. By buying VT, you don't time these cycles and you don't get tempted into changing your allocation to change performance. And we're human. And after a decade of looking elsewhere and seeing a certain market sector or segment or country or countries outperform, I think most people would be tempted to change their allocation. But if you only have one ETF, you literally can't change your allocation unless you sell it. If you have two ETFs, if you have VTI and VXUS, international and US, you're going to be tempted to allocate between the two. By holding VT, that temptation doesn't exist. It can't happen. Okay. So either way, we have this recent cycle of US outperformance. US is crushing it. Okay. And if it continues to crush it, great. But I'm not simply buying US stocks, the index, because it has outperformed over the last decade. Simple as that. And if international has its time in the sun, I'll be one of the geniuses that already had international when it starts to outperform. Now, to conclude this video, will US stocks, are they in a massive bubble and it's the end of the world for US stocks? Absolutely not. Not in the freaking slightest. I don't really believe in the long run that US stocks are going to underperform. Okay. And that's absolutely freaking fine. But guess what? You never, ever, ever want to risk your retirement by focusing your investments in one area. Okay. I have a retirement goal. If I get a certain percentage return, or I have a certain amount of money, I can retire. And I know VT will get me there. Will VTI get me there? Maybe. Will VXUS get me there? Maybe. But I know for a fact, well, I'm very confident that the global economy will be better in 2050, roughly when I retire. Okay. I don't think about it. I buy the world and that's it. That's all you have to do. Okay. And I think you have less of a chance of reaching your retirement goals if you don't diversify. Yeah. And the US stock market is highly diversified and there's global reach. I'm not going to dispute that. But you never freaking know. And do you really want to potentially risk your retirement because you saw that US stocks outperform recently, which I really think that's why most people are buying. You can do whatever sophisticated arguments you want. Oh, S&P's globally diversified. No, you looked at prior performance and you said US stocks did better. Deep down, you know it. I know it. You know it. We all know it. And that's why you're only buying US stocks. Okay. But yeah, it was a good video. But I mean, there are legitimate arguments against VT. I mean, think about VT. Okay. You got Europe, you got the whole Eurozone. There's so much drama in the Eurozone. Oh, Spain's about to default. Oh, Italy's about to default. You have exposure to China, communist dictatorship. You have exposure to a lot of crappy countries. Okay. But like I said, I don't know what the future brings. So that's that. I'll do some comments and then I'm going to go watch a movie. I'm freaking tired. I forgot my point. But boo VT, beat VT, bro. And remember, Sasha's an individual stock picker. I'm an index fund investor. Two totally different things. I saw that and was wondering what he meant. I thought about you for... Oh, yeah, he did that to trigger me. Sasha said VT is for losers. Yeah, I watched the video, but I'm just too tired to watch the whole thing again and react it live. Once I saw Sasha's vid, I knew this was coming. I got to defend my VT, of course. I spot a fat American, or widely known as American. I would stand up and show you my guns, but I'm literally in my underwear right now. Strongman, what do you mean Palantir is worth $81 a share? What? What are you talking about? Let's see. Well, VT has performed terribly, though. That's a good point. Well, terribly compared to what? Tesla? It's got VT's had 9% compounded returns over the last decade. Because you're also not looking at reinvested dividends. Dividends reduce stock prices. Okay, that doesn't show in the stock chart. I got 10% per year, roughly. That's pretty freaking good to me. Yeah, he's talking about Tesla. God, can Tesla just freaking die? I'm so sick of you Tesla shills. Who cares? Look at those buys. I feel like Kim Kardashian. Oh, but she's hot. Oh, Strongman's hot. That means he's right no matter what. Yeah. VT sucks, dude. Yeah, I want to hear your sophisticated argument. Oh, well, I looked at the last 10 years and U.S. stocks went up more. Okay. Doesn't 35% of the S&P 5 earnings come from, it comes from foreign, I wouldn't say it's from foreign currency. It's from probably foreign users. 35%, sure. But if you're not buying international companies do business in the U.S. U.S. companies do business internationally, okay? And if you're not buying international stocks, you could be missing the next 20,000x business. Imagine if Tesla was based in the Netherlands. Well, you don't own Tesla because VT, hi, bro. Bell is a bozo. What is that? Your Tesla gains? Oh my god! Show me your Baba face. Oh, it's a truck stop face. No, you're wrong. You're wrong. Bloomberg article a few days talked about betting on S&P 500 over the next decade will kill you. Got to go international. No. You own the world, ladies and gentlemen, because nobody can predict the future. That's the philosophy. You get it? I can't predict the future. I own everything, and I don't worry about it. The best ETF is ARK. I agree. Kathy Wood. You should sign up for her new private equity thing, too. It's only got almost a 5% expense ratio. But it's Kathy Wood, bro. VT is for Georgia State. This is probably the Reichsmarshal. VT is for losers. You just don't go to a store and put random groceries in your basket or just buy random clothes from Amazon and then try them on. Yes, that's a good comparison. Buying random clothes versus buying the global index. Yes, you really got me there. The Buddha Bowl from Tattooed Chef will be the NFL. Who needs to buy the world? One can invest in a plant-based frozen food biz like Tattooed Nutsack. That's a good point. I can't dispute that. If that happens, Yellowstone, you should buy gold. I mean, that's like a ludicrous example, but it's really something that could happen that is unpredictable. That's the point. You don't know, okay? And yes, buy gold. That'll save you from everything. Not financial advice. Debate echoes on VU versus VT. Okay, mommy. Let's see. The war was already happening with Russia and Ukraine. Bell, again, R. Yeah, I know. A proxy war is the same thing as Russia invading Ukraine. Let's see. Chef Curry will be the Tattooed Chef biggest pro athlete sponsor. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. ARK is superior to VT, VTI, and VXUS. All right, I'm going to finish up these comments. I see some super chats in there. Just buy Meet Kevin's ETF. I will be reviewing Meet Kevin's ETF. Let's see. All right, let me just finish the super chats. Come on my page so I can interview. Well, since you sent me $50, I guess I'm gonna have to come on there. I'm gonna go on his channel. I'm gonna spread the good word of VT. Thank you, money making E. You better not be a grifter, or I'm coming after you. When will you be able to afford a shirt? I could take you a little more seriously. Well, okay, if you send me $1,000, I can go shopping. I need the money, bro. I'm broke. I bought VT. I'm broke, bro. When is it a small company and when it has potential to be 100x? They will buy it when it's already a $1 trillion company. Well, that sounds like most Tesla investors right there. I've returned from the future. Will crush VT going forward. Repent and join the flock of the righteous. Okay. I think didn't I review that ETF? I already forgot what's in it. Isn't it like a bunch of dividend stocks? Blah, 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 blah. Direct indexing, aka active management, is the future. You guys don't know how easy my investing life is. I have an automatic draft that just goes into VT Wax or VT. That's it. And I make YouTube videos. I go to work. I do taxes, whatever. I don't have to think about it. I'm just a moron. Will VT weigh its holdings to one side as an ETF? It's minusculely managed. Well, yeah, it just tracks the global, all the stocks in the world. And it kind of like reallocates as, things change. That's the whole point of it. It's low fees, low taxes. I just look at best performers from last year. Me too. I'm making some money tonight. Woo! Give me all your money. Give it to me. After Google takes half and then the government takes another chunk out of it. Thoughts on precious metals. Shiny rocks that are trash. I'm not a fan of precious metals. I really don't like buying gold or any of that crap. I'd rather buy a company that like produces things and provides value to people, goods and services to people. Gold is just a shiny rock. And for the privilege of buying a shiny rock, either you buy the gold itself and you pay like a markup, or you buy an ETF and you have rocks stored under a vault in London and you pay an expense ratio. Like, it's just stupid. Oh, and gold is tax inefficient. It's actually taxed at higher rates. Do you guys know that? Strongman, how come Bitcoin hasn't collapsed? What do you mean it hasn't collapsed? What are you talking about? It has collapsed. All right. God, there's so many freaking comments. All right, I can't read all these. I gotta go watch a movie and I'm tired. Wow, I should invest in the government stock. All right, well, thank you for all the super chats. I'm gonna go buy more VT with it. And you guys have a wonderful night. And I'll give you a Lafufu outro. But good video. There are legitimate criticisms of VT. Okay, that's fine. But I explained my position. Love it or hate it. That's it. Cheers.
Bye, 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 bye. I know I'm a grifter, strong man. You could lick your hand and smack me in the nutsack. Thank God for Tesla Maesla and you, strong man.